The X-Men face their most formidable and powerful foe when one of their own, Jean Grey, starts to spiral out of control. During a rescue mission in outer space, Jean is nearly killed when she's hit by a mysterious cosmic force. Once she returns home, this force not only makes her infinitely more powerful, but far more unstable. The X-Men must now band together to save her soul and battle aliens that want to use Grey's new ability to rule the galaxy. Today we discuss 2019's X-Men Dark Phoenix.
Microphones. This is the previously recorded podcast.
All right, I'm your host, RP, as always, and welcome to this very special episode of Previously Recorded. This is something that's never been done on the show before. You guys have been clamoring for it, been asking for it. This is a one-on-one episode with just me and Shane. Shane, welcome back to the podcast, man. How are you?
Hey, what's up? By you guys, you mean I've been clamoring for it so I can finish a thought for once?
Are you finally ready to share your thoughts?
It'd be hilarious if I just didn't have any thoughts.
Yeah, well, there's spoiler alert, there might not be any thoughts with this film.
Yeah.
And film might be generous. But his presence is always felt, so Bob has shared some notes that we will maybe bring up during the episode.
Can you read his notes later doing a Bob impression?
I'll try my best.
You might have to smoke cigarettes for 30 years before you
It's
do
so
it.
it's so funny because he does sometimes, like if we're recording on a Monday and he just had a weekend out, you would think that Bob smokes 2 packs a day. And the man does not smoke anything at all. He does not inhale anything. That's just his God-given beautiful voice, and we love him for it. It's great for the podcast medium. It really is. But we are here to discuss X-Men. Well, actually, it's just called Dark Phoenix. It's not even called, like, if you Google Dark Phoenix, it's just Dark Phoenix. It's not even X-Men.
Well, yeah, even they knew it was gonna suck and they didn't want it associated with the X-Men.
But I mean, come on. Is look, it's not like it's been like a great brand with all
I
these
know.
other Fox movies.
At this point, I think there might be more bad than good.
There 100% is more bad than good. There is more. I regret doing this. I regret it. Like, because after like the original trilogy and like the Deadpool movies, I'm like, and obviously Days of Future Past, but I'm like, what are we doing here? Like, why? Like, we saw Deadpool and Wolverine. I should have just ended it. Like, just it's just like
Yeah,
it's done.
it's a lot of movies.
Yeah. Oh, well, you
You didn't
weren't
even
on
do all
our.
the movies. You didn't do Blade.
Well, Blade's technically not Fox.
It's not?
It's Legacy. It's a or
What
new.
did Fox end up buying that or something? So now it's technically Fox.
No, no. It's just he was able to appear in Deadpool Wolverine because the rights are back with Marvel.
Oh,
So it was technically like New Regency, I think, or
okay.
Legacy, one of those like offhanded brands. Maybe they are. Maybe it is Fox. I don't know because no, because Fox put a stop to Deadpool. They had the rights for Deadpool, and like I don't know, it was a whole thing. We talked about it on the Deadpool episode, but yeah, we might end this thing with like the movies that are here, or we may do take a little break and then get back to maybe doing Blade. Like just do the Blade trilogy as one episode or
I
something.
would do Blade. The first two are very good. The third
Yeah.
is okay.
Yeah. So you weren't on
Ryan
our.
Reynolds is in the third though. He's basically Deadpool.
Yeah, that's what everybody always says. So you weren't on the Deadpool Wolverine episode. Do you want to
Mm-mm.
share any thoughts about the movie now that we're kind of like 3 or 4 weeks out? Like anything that you just want the people to hear?
I just very much enjoyed it. I didn't really have any problems. It was just all kind of praise. It was a good time. Um, I hate people cheering in movie theaters, but like I kind of get it for this. Chris Evans showing up was cool. I wasn't expecting Gambit at all, but
Ooh, I'm
then
about to make a name for myself.
as soon as I saw the card fly onto the screen, I'm like, oh, it's got to be Channing Tatum. So that was
That was
cool.
crazy.
Seeing how like happy he is that this finally happened is really cool.
I think we
Um,
need to start the discussion. As great as that was, I do not want him playing Gambit.
no, I think you got to start fresh.
Because do you think he'll do that accent?
No, I think you got to tone it down a little bit. I think that was like purposely played up for the
I thought
joke.
so too, but then he was on Fallon and being like, "Yeah, I grew up in Louisiana, and there's really not many Cajun people in Louisiana." And he's like, "It's kind of like the whole thing." And he was acting like that was even though that was a joke in the movie,
Yeah.
he was like on Fallon. Maybe I'm just misinterpreting it, but he was acting like that was a serious accent.
I
And
mean,
I,
it is like spot on. Like if you've ever heard a Cajun person talk, it did a really good job.
yeah, it's like
But
Adam Sandler's Cajun Man.
I don't think you can have that for a full movie
Mm-mm.
because you can't understand what thing you say. I think they did it because it's funny,
Yeah,
but then if they gave him a movie, he'd probably tone it down a little bit.
it would need to be like the cartoon, like
Yeah, yeah,
that Remy LeBeau. But
because him you can understand, but he's still got that thick accent.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And like a realistic, hey, this man's gonna lead a 2 hour movie. We can't be talking, oh, I'm about to make a name for myself.
Yeah,
The whole
he can't
movie.
have like subtitles throughout the whole movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's not, we want it to sound somewhat foreign, like French, but not
Yeah,
truly foreign, and that we can't understand it.
but no,
But
that was cool. Blade was awesome because like
mhm.
that was superheroes to me before like any of the Marvel movies started coming out. I used to watch Blade all the time.
Yeah, that's cool.
My dad took me to see I think the second or third one in theaters when I was way too young to be seeing that movie.
That's what Marvel said too. He's like that was my superheroes. Like you guys had the
Yeah,
X-Men or Spider-Man. Like I was Blade.
yeah, I love Blade.
I do got to see the Blade movies now because I really
No, they're very
enjoyed
good.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very good.
But you
They're
shared
like the perfect amount of like stupid campiness, but like not campy.
they like yeah, like that's the balance you got to strike with a vampire hunter like movie,
Yeah.
you know? So I'm excited to check them out. I heard like 2 and 3 aren't great, but I know one is good or three's
One's
terrible.
very good, three's okay.
Mhm.
Two's not bad. I like it a lot.
Okay.
One's probably the best though. Two's got Ron Perlman,
Oh, my boy.
so that's cool.
That is cool.
He's really good in it.
The movie might not be good, but it's at least cool.
Yeah. I mean Ron Perlman's in it. It's gonna be cool.
That's true. I do love him. But you kind of shared the same sentiments that we did, and most people did. It wasn't, the best movie ever, but it was like you said, super enjoyable, ton of fun.
Yeah.
Unlike this movie, which we are going to talk about X-Men Dark
And
Phoenix.
king of the segues.
We're talking about 2019's X-Men Dark Phoenix. So this movie was released on June 7th, 2019, directed by Simon Kinberg and written by him as well. So Simon Kinberg had been a producer in the X-Men franchise for a really long time, almost the beginning. And it's unfortunate that this is the one where he makes his directorial debut. He's written
What
some of the
uh
other ones.
what movie did he come in on?
I'm pretty sure, Shane, that he's also a producer in Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm pretty sure he was the original trilogy. Let me check. But this was his directorial debut. Yeah, he's been like all the X-Men movies, like First Class.
Oh
It
wow.
shows X-Men 3, Logan, Deadpool 1 and 2 producer. So he may have come in around based on what I'm looking at, X-Men 3, and then just stayed on through the whole thing, like Fantastic Four, everything.
Has he done
Um,
anything since, or is he in director jail now, just doing stupid shit?
no, he's not done anything good. This was him as a producer. This was his directorial debut, but no, I don't think he's done.
I wouldn't think so. If this is your first job as director, I don't see them knocking down your door to hire you for more projects.
No, let's see. I don't think he's gotten a directing opportunity again. Oh, he okay. So he directed this and then the 355, which came out during COVID, starring Jessica Chastain, Penelope Cruz, Lupita Nyong'o, and who's the other one? Diane Kruger. Sebastian Stan was in this. I remember this movie coming out, bombing at the box office, and then they immediately put it on streaming like a week after.
I've never heard of this.
the only reason I did is because of how bad it did. That's the only reason I know about it.
Do you know how bad it must be? The only place it's streaming is on Stars.
Sometimes they have great movies and then they have total shit.
I don't understand how they still have money. Like, who
Yeah,
has Stars?
it's
I don't get it.
I only have stars because I get it for free. Yeah, 24% on Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, it bombed at the bot. This poor man, he should just, not everybody should direct. I'll just say that.
Yeah, go back to producing. He was doing a good job doing that.
It made $27.8 million, though. So I
What
don't
was
know,
what was the budget for this movie?
double that, like 75. I mean, it's not his fault. It was a weird time at the
Yeah,
theater.
I mean, at least
Um,
it didn't lose money though, you know?
that's true. Unlike this one probably did. So this one, X-Men Dark Phoenix had a budget of $200 million and it
Hmm.
grossed $252.4 million with an opening weekend of $32.8 million, which is the lowest of the franchise. I want to say it's probably this movie is not great. Critical consensus 22% on Rotten Tomatoes. And with the consensus saying Dark Phoenix ends an era of the X Men franchise by taking a second stab at adapting a classic comic arc with deeply disappointing results, which is, I think, very fair. That low box office, I don't think is indicative of people's interest in X Men or the movie. This came out like right after they were bought by Disney, which we'll talk about. There was actually some changes made to the end of the movie based on that. But they had kind of advertised that this will this will be the end of the X-Men as we know it. Like this movie's not going to lead to anything. They openly were like, I'm pretty sure they showed in the trailer Mystique dying. Or Jennifer Lawrence was like, I'm dying in this one. Like I'm done. This is my last one. I just remember being like they gave away like the big emotional scene in the trailer. That's like the one thing I remember. So I think people were just like over it at this point, and they were like, I'm not wasting my money. It didn't get good reviews. I don't think I've never heard a positive thing about this movie in my life. So I don't necessarily think that $32.8 million is the full picture of the movie. I think it's a lot of other things that lead into what was going on at the time. Now, this was your first time seeing the movie, right?
Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say, I think a lot of it is following Apocalypse too, because that was
Yes.
such a letdown. Because like that's the main reason I didn't go see this in theaters. I just wasn't interested after Apocalypse. And then
Yeah.
it got trashed. And then I was just like, I just have no interest in wasting 2 hours of my time to see this.
Yeah, I didn't see this in theaters either. I see almost everything in theaters.
Yeah,
And I was like, I have zero interest. I'm not seeing this. Apocalypse was terrible.
yeah. I've
Um,
just gotten to the point where if I'm not genuinely interested in something or I'm not watching it for a podcast, I don't feel like wasting my time.
and that's the general, I think that is the general consensus about theater going and kind of like across the board. Like there's people like me who will go to the movies and kind of say anything. But I think the general audiences are like more like you, where they're like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time just for kind of any movie. Like I need,
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
I love going to the theater, but I want to be interested in what I'm going to see, especially because how the theater experience is now where people are fucking idiots.
it's
Um,
wild to me. When we saw Fall Guy, it was so annoying to me that they had a promo in the beginning about Ryan Gosling and the director, and both one being like, "Don't be on your phone," and Ryan Gosling was like, "You can be on your phone, just like hide it." And I'm like, "What?" That is like the epitome now of like what you're saying. Theater etiquette is horrible.
yeah.
Like it's just so fucking annoying. People are
I
assholes.
just I just don't like I don't know. I sound like I'm fucking 60 years old,
No,
but
you're not. You're not because
like
I share the sentiment.
why pay to go see a movie if you're just not even going to pay attention? Just wait for it to come out on streaming and then you can fuck around on your phone while it's like I don't know, man. I feel like
I
a fucking fucking
you
old man right now.
you're not because I think because we grew up and like these big movies would come out. We would go see it. Our phones are away. We're like locked in. And now people can't put their phones away for more than 2 hours. Like it's just people are so gripped on. I get like checking your phone middle of the movie if you get a text from somebody or you know whatever. There's reasons to check, but like if people are just blatantly scrolling Facebook full brightness now during a
Yeah,
movie, and I'm
yeah,
like, what are you
that's
doing?
That's what I was gonna say. Full brightness. Like if there's something important that you really need to keep an eye on, turn your brightness down.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
I don't need to feel like I'm the Germans when they open the Ark of the Covenant when you're
Your
6 rows
face
ahead of me.
I agree. I completely agree. And it's just like it's just crazy to me that you one of the great things I will say is one of the great things about a lot of the times we go on Thursday nights is those are the people that are the most excited. So
Yeah,
phones are less, but I do remember like just seeing when I saw Avatar in like IMAX 3D that I didn't see a single phone out. And and I was like so impressed because of how goddamn long that movie was. And it's like just commit to a couple hours even if the movie sucks, like it's an escape from whatever bullshit is on Twitter. Like
yeah,
it's crazy to me how much that's changed. And I think a lot of that has to do with COVID and like people just got like people weren't going and then came back and I'm like, yeah, this is how it's always been. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's
and that
not.
yeah, people got used to streaming shit at home.
Yeah, and doing whatever they want and being on their
That's
phone.
I think that's part of the reason why I stopped caring about shit too, is because right in the beginning of like lockdown and all that, there was nothing to watch. And then
Hmm.
like all of a sudden there was like 6 shows I had to keep up with. And I
Hmm.
was just like, you know what? If I don't like these shows, I don't know. I just don't care anymore.
That's I don't blame you, man. Some of these shows that I watch feel like a slog to really get through.
Yeah, like you
And
guys are always talking about how you were watching The Acolyte.
yeah,
I'm
it's
just like,
bad.
I have no interest in this.
And you made a good choice because it didn't get picked up.
Yeah, feeling pretty good right now.
Yeah, but like I think part of my mentality too with that one is like I'm paying for Disney Plus. I might as well
Yeah,
watch the big brand shows, which some of that was okay, and I've enjoyed most of the Marvel stuff. But I understand you. I powered through House of the Dragon season two, and I was like, I'm just watching this because I like the brand. Like
I
it's
was
at
still
this
on
point.
like season or episode 3. Like
It's not as good as season one.
we put it on and we were both falling asleep, and then we just like haven't watched it since.
They're long. The only show that I've truly this year that I've watched every second of, and despite it being a long runtime and enjoyed it and like not felt everything so long has been The Boys. I think The
Yeah.
Boys was so entertaining this season.
Hmm.
Um, unlike this movie we're talking about today. So just kind of I have minimal notes for this because there's really not much and who gives a shit. But
I was planning on stealing Bob's notes and claiming them as my own.
even in like my normal like production and development notes, it's like who gives a shit. So all I really have is after the release of 2014's Days of Future Past, with the timelines essentially being retconned, it opened up the possibility to finally go all the way with the Dark Phoenix saga storyline, beginning in Apocalypse, which we saw and we talked about, and it wasn't executed well in that. So the sequel to Apocalypse was greenlit almost immediately, and longtime writer, producer, and contributor to the X-Men franchise was given the opportunity to solely direct and write the film. He said the film would advance to the 90s, continuing with the younger characters from Apocalypse, which I guess it did. And with Apocalypse underperforming, Fox wanted to soft reboot the franchise and started to reconfigure it and feature a new director. So that was it. Apparently, this was going to kick off a new franchise before they were bought.
Why would they immediately greenlight a sequel to Apocalypse? I don't get
Money.
that. The movie sucked. Did that make money?
Yeah, it did pretty well. Like not great, but it did enough to keep making like another one. And also, you kind of gotta keep making them or the rights would revert back to Marvel. So
Right,
that's
yeah.
part of it too, is like, oh, this is bad. So let's go through the film. We don't got to go through all the points. What we do have some notes from that we took and some of our co-host Bob's notes. So Shane, what did you like about this movie? There's plenty that we didn't. Is there anything you liked about this film?
Same thing I liked about Apocalypse, and that's Magneto.
Yep.
Fassbender absolutely carried this movie.
Mm-hmm. 100%
I
agree.
wish he was in it a lot more than he was.
Yeah, not enough. Also, completely forgot that that's Genosha.
Yeah, I did too. And then I was watching the YouTube recap because I watched this movie like 2 weeks ago. And then
Yeah,
he said Genosha, and I was like, oh shit, that is Genosha.
they like don't talk about it. They don't really talk about how the US government gave them the land.
Does it
It,
even say that it's Genosha in the movie? Or is it
no,
just So because like
No.
you know usually like it'll like put up on the screen where you're at. I thought they would. Why not do that?
Or
Like,
even
hey,
make like a
Genosha.
or even like make a reference because he's like the government gave us this land and like we
Yeah,
are like Genosha is now home to the mutants, like something like that. So I was like, maybe it's Genosha, maybe it's Krakoa. I was like, they didn't really say, but I
yeah.
did think that that was cool. Is there anything besides Fassbender that you liked?
I mean, I like Beast. He was cool in this movie. Like, not really, honestly. That was kind of it.
So it's funny you mentioned Beast because that to me is when the movie takes a turn. So surprisingly, and I feel like it's a common theme with all these movies, is that like they have like a good idea, like a half of a good idea. Because the first half of this movie, the first hour, I actually thought was pretty decent.
Yeah,
I liked that they went for the Dark Phoenix, like kind of comic accuracy of it being like a force in outer space. Like the whole them going to save somebody in outer space is pretty comic booky. So I was like, oh, okay, they're trying this because again I saw this movie before and I forgot it all because I was like, this is boring, like this is poo poo. So I forgot about it, and I'm like, the beginning is pretty good, like the action's like decent. I also think the film looks great. I think this is the best looking like cinematography and like color grading and like just true high definition like since uh maybe like the Wolverine in X-Men like because Singer does some good stuff and then half of Singer's shots look like a soap opera at points and like I don't understand it. So I was really surprised about how good the movie looked and I thought the action was cool. Like how cool was Nightcrawler in like the
yeah.
spaceship scene.
He was. I thought Nightcrawler was really kind of goofy in Apocalypse, but then I like him a lot in this movie. I forgot he is one of the high points.
He's the high point, Fassbender's the high point, and then I think this is one of Jennifer Lawrence's better movies.
Yeah, to steal one of Bob's notes, McAvoy in like the flashback scene where he's talking to young Gene,
Mhm.
very good scene.
Yes.
Where I thought Bob was writing like that's like perfect Professor X like
Yeah.
helping a traumatized kid,
So
and
what
then immediately he becomes a dickhead later in the movie.
so Bob said McAvoy in the opening scenes is just a great Professor X dealing with a scared child, then immediately shifts to a terrible Professor X interpretation sacrificing his team. Now,
Yeah,
this is what Bob said, and what you're saying is true. He's a terrible Professor X. However, that is more accurate to Professor X than I think we're used to seeing in the films, but it does
mhm.
happen in the comics, and I'm not that familiar with past comics like reference something specifically, but just in conversation about the X-Men, Charles is willing to make those sacrifices to further the mutant cause and see how good, the mutants can be. Yeah. And then he said, never mind, that's the entire movie of Professor X just being terrible. And he is a scumbag in this movie. Until the end. I think he gets a little
Until
bit with
yeah, he
the
gets his redemption at the
a
end
little bit at the end.
when Gene's reading his mind.
Yeah, yeah. So I think after Raven dies, I actually think all that stuff is good. I think the Phoenix Force, her dealing with it is pretty good. I'm not saying this is great, but I was interested. And I feel like that's saying a lot. Like I wasn't because I know I don't like this movie. I know I
Hmm.
don't. So if I was interested in that and I liked her and Scott in this movie a lot, I thought that they were way better than Apocalypse. I thought they sucked in Apocalypse, and I thought Sophie Turner sucked in Apocalypse.
I think she sucks in this too.
And she does, but she looks amazing. She
So
does.
I do like when they're doing the Phoenix effect and she has like the all the lines going through her
Yeah.
face.
Hmm.
That looks really cool.
Yeah.
But I just think I think Sophie Turner when she's doing her normal accent, fantastic actress. Like
Yeah.
on Game of Thrones, she's very good. I
Hmm.
think she's bad at doing an English accent, and then it affects her
American
acting
accent,
skills. What did I say?
English.
I meant American. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she's bad when she's doing an American accent. It's terrible.
I
I
think
thought Child Jean was such a better actor than
she was
Sophie
good.
Turner.
I think it's right. I think her American accent is but it's distractingly bad that it makes her performance seem bad.
It's like uh, it's like deadpan the way she's saying her lines. Like there's just no like feeling
Like
behind any of them.
I think that's a really great point because a lot of it, like even Scott, like I feel like when Raven died, nobody gave a shit. So I
Yeah,
so that was very bland. And then like all Scott's lines are like, well, it's still Jean. Like we know it's still Jean. But she just fucking killed Raven.
yeah. I was talking to Bob about it last night. And he was saying like Gene and also Scott just seem like they're reading from cue cards when
Yeah.
they're saying their lines.
They're just there
Like
to collect a
it's
check.
just not good.
Yeah, it's like, and I think part of that, like why I say I'm interested. I don't think any of this is particularly good, but it kept my interest, maybe because I thought the movie was so bad. So like first time viewing is you, and you're like, yeah, this is bad. And maybe because Apocalypse sucked so bad that it helped this with a little bit. But after
Yeah,
Raven dies, this movie is the most boring piece of shit I've ever seen.
which I hate that they kill Raven.
She
I
wanted
think
out.
that's awful.
I think there's no redemption. Like when you kill somebody that people like, there's no redemption in the
Yeah,
world that this movie, like, sure, like in storytelling narratives, like, there's just no redemption. The only person that comes close to that, that gets actually truly gets redemption, is Snape and Harry Potter because we find out Dumbledore told him to kill him. Other
yeah.
than that, everybody's like, well, you fucking killed a character I like for no reason. I know it's a Phoenix Force, but like, we don't care about you anymore.
And like
Especially if the writing's bad. Especially if the
you
writing's
could
bad.
say like it's to drive the plot because then like it turns Magneto on her, which
Mhm.
that's a great scene when he finds out.
He's like, who's the
Man,
blood?
that man can act.
He can. And I think his action was the best action on the train too.
Yeah,
Like I found the train, I know we talked about it before, like Marvel was like, that train scene's pretty good. I didn't give a shit about the train scene, but I thought Magneto was so fucking awesome in that scene. His action, like, and you just, I don't know if like you felt maybe because it's his acting too, but like you were like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. Like,
yeah.
and he was just kicking ass.
I would when he's on screen, I'm paying attention.
Yeah, me too. And normally McAvoy, I am too. I don't know if I'm just like over Charles. I don't know if I'm over. I just don't
Mm-hmm.
care. Like, or like Magneto just wants to be left alone. He wants his people safe.
Mm-hmm.
And then when it is like the narrative, like Jean is a mutant, but she killed a mutant, so it's like whatever. And Bob said, couldn't Jean, in theory, heal Raven the way she was able to just build an entire house or keep the spaceship together? And I don't know about that one. I don't know if the Phoenix Force can heal. Do you
Maybe it
know
can heal Gene. I don't know if it can heal
other people?
other people. I'm not sure about that one.
So that I will say, I'm with you. However, though I like Apocalypse a little bit more because the emotional narrative of Charles and Fassbender or in Magneto was really good and like really
Mm-hmm.
helped that movie. But there's nothing in this movie other than Raven's death. And even at that, you're like, like it sucks. And like, I don't like this. But you're like, that's the emotional thread of the movie. The villain is Jean. The villain is also whatever alien played by Jessica
The
Chastain.
Dabari.
Do you know
That's
what they are?
no, I had to look them up.
Yeah. She didn't even know, Jessica Chastain didn't even know what her character was till she saw the
Apparently
movie.
they have like similar powers to Gene, but not as strong. And then they also have like enhanced like strength and reflexes and all that. So
Hmm.
they have like telekinesis and I think telepathy too to a little
Oh,
extent. But then the Phoenix Force would have made it like crazy level.
interesting. I feel like they don't use any of that.
It's like little bit,
They're
like that's
just
it,
to me like
little bit.
to me they're just like zombies.
Yeah, I think they're my biggest problem with this movie.
Yeah, they're
I
boring.
They're not really explained what they are. I don't care why they're there. I think instead of having them involved, you just make Jean go full crazy Phoenix Force, and then the rest of the movie is them trying to take her down with Magneto.
Yeah, I think Shane, you just made a little bit of a better movie because I don't care. It's a generic alien. It's a
Yeah,
like
I don't care.
I don't care. Sure, you want to say that that's where the origin of the Force came from, okay? But also, if we just say it's this cosmic entity, like
I don't even think that it's not even the origin. They just say that the Phoenix Force kind of rolled through and destroyed their planet. So now they're looking for it so they can, I think, bring their planet back.
Yes, that's why they want to use that to basically change Earth
It's just like
into,
generic villain plot. Like, I don't
yeah,
care.
I'm with you. It's very whatever. And what helps these movies is the villains. Like that's the
Yeah.
villains, whether it's Magneto's side, like they're compelling sides in First Class and in Days of Future Past, and even in moments of apocalypse, like Magneto's side of things help propel these movies. But now you just have a villain who just wants this thing that Jean can technically just give her.
Hmm.
And it's like, okay. Like it's just boring. Like bottom line, it's just boring. And having trying to make Jean savable hurts this film instead of just making the Phoenix Force the full go all out. You want to
Yeah,
tell this fucking story.
just make her the bad guy.
You've been dying to tell the story twice. If you want to do it so bad, then just do it and make her bad.
I mean, I don't think the end result was good, but that's what they did in the last stand. They just made her not redeemable, and then
Yeah.
Wolverine has to kill her.
Yeah, and like that's the narrative to tell this in comic books and in cartoons. You can probably do it a little bit differently, like have her come back. But in
Yeah.
terms of, I truly believe in terms of a live action film where you want to do this, it has to end with her death and her not being redeemed. Like that's just, I think that's the only way it works. And I also just beg Marvel to not do this again because it doesn't work.
Yeah, it's time to stop with the Phoenix Force. I don't care about it.
They set it up like I'll give them whatever. They didn't set it up well, but they set it up. They had an entire movie dedicated to it, and then went in a comic accurate sort of. I think again, I'm just speaking from the off the cuff like on that because I'm not really sure the entire origin. And it just to me it just seems like it's unadaptable.
Yeah, I really just don't care about it. I'm kind of tired of seeing the Phoenix Force.
Yeah,
Like, I don't want the next X-Men trilogy, if we get it, to be centered around this again. Like, just let
yeah,
it go, explore some other stuff, let it go. Like, do more Genosha stuff or do more,
yeah. Or
whatever.
and do like the other version of Jean, like the clone Madeline Pryor. Like do
Yeah,
that. That's
that's
cool.
yeah,
That's more interesting.
yeah.
But
But
she went.
then X-Men 97 is doing all that, so they're probably going to do the same predictable shit
It's
like they have been.
it's it's possible. It's very possible. So like she had that moment to go full villain too because she did. It was so fucked up that she made Professor X walk. Like that was fucked up.
That's what me and Bob were talking about last night. I I couldn't believe that.
Like I
That
was
was wild.
I have like very minimal notes for this movie. I'm talking like 7 notes. And one of them is making Charles walk was so fucked. And then I look at Bob's notes and it says making a cripple walk is kind of fucked up. And it's just like when she was like walk to me, I was like, and then crosses his chair so he can't even go back to it
It
later. I'm
was
like,
so unnecessary. She could have just floated him up there.
yeah, it and like tortured him some other way, but she made him fucking walk. I'm like, this
It's
is
so
like,
unnecessary.
yeah, I feel like is this like ableism or something? Like it is like this cancelable? I don't know.
That's the
Um,
point where she's not redeemable.
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's not even it's not even killing Mystique. It's you made Charles walk. Like it's so fucked up. It's just it's horrible. It's the one thing you can't do, and you try and do it, and he's in so
Yeah,
much pain.
I could see killing Raven as an accident, but you literally made that man a marionette.
I know. Oh my God. Oh man, she did. That was bad. Oh, so the my one other confusion with this movie was they did so the president's calling them and they're going to save the country or whatever. And then what happened? Was it Jean attacking her dad's house that just turned the nation on them? Is that what it was? When she's like, "You don't get this line doesn't work anymore for you." When he can't call the president anymore, and then they
I
go to Genosha to get Jean. Is it just
I
that?
guess, yeah.
What
But
a fucking thin thread.
I thought something else happened before that. Doesn't something happen? Oh no, because doesn't she like destroy stuff at the mansion or something? I thought something happened before that because they were looking for her when she got to her dad's house.
She got to her dad's house and then learned that he didn't want her anymore, and that's when she like blew up the house. And
Yeah,
then
but I
the
wasn't
X-Men
she
came for her.
swarmed before that? Or am I mixing up the
No,
timeline?
there was a scene where they're at the party where they're drinking and she like kind of just lets this burst out
Oh,
and then she falls asleep and then she's like, I want to go see my
yeah, and
dad.
then she just kind of disappears.
And she's like, fuck you, Charles, for lying to me, but he
Wow,
was
so they
protecting.
really do just turn on the X-Men over nothing then.
I was like, I kind of like, I paused it and was like, wait, what happened? Like, it's literally one thing. He's being honored. He has a line directly to the president, but one thing and one person is just like, yeah,
Yeah,
Your X Men
literally
are
one
done.
of them, and then they all get kicked to the curb.
Yeah, lazy writing, lazy writing. Like all of this movie is lazy writing. So this movie is bad. It just is. And I don't want to say it's not a piece of shit like Fantastic Four, I think is like I don't like that movie at all.
Hmm.
It's just boring. It starts off good and then just boring. It's I don't care about the Phoenix Force. I don't care about this weird Jessica Chastain alien. Some of the action's cool, I guess, but I I I don't care. And maybe it's because we've watched a bunch of shit. Like maybe if this was a sole entry movie, maybe I would like it. I I'm just struggling. I don't know.
Yeah, for me, I feel like but when I did Apocalypse, I rewatched it, and I was like, this isn't. It's not good, but it's not as bad as I remember.
Mhm.
This was the first time seeing this. I went in expecting it to suck, and it absolutely met my expectations. And it's exactly what you're saying. It's boring. Like
It
I didn't really care.
is it shoe worthy for Bob?
I don't know because I haven't seen Elektra, but
Yeah.
I don't think this movie is worse than Fantastic Four. So I guess not.
Okay. I don't think it's shoe worthy. I think that there is some competent moments in this movie. Like
There's
it's
some redeeming parts of this movie. Fantastic Four has no redeeming parts. It's just all garbage.
yeah, like I actually like the scene. Again, it's Magneto, but when they're on Genosha and Jean's trying to like blow up the helicopter and he's pushing it back,
Yeah, that was
like
cool.
that scene was pretty cool. Like
That
I
was
just
cool.
like that was just like a straight action movie. Like, hey, this scene's cool, and then it just like which also when it blows back and it like spins around, like that copter would go down. It wouldn't just like back up
Yeah,
and
it's not just going to orient itself in the
no,
air.
it's not. So Bob made a note that it feels like parts of this movie were cut out, and he put Snyder cut, and he would be correct. But it's not the director's choice. So this movie was the last movie to come out from Fox, and it was bought by Disney. So the original ending was supposed to be a battle at the United Nations, where the it says that this says the scrolls, which I don't think this is true. So let's just say those aliens were bringing were as the villains, and Jean was flying into space and blowing up a spaceship. And like that's basically where the final would have been. It would have been Xavier and Scott confronting her at the UN, and I guess Jean saving the day and destroying the aliens and blowing up in space. Like that was kind of supposed to be the ending.
So it would have made her redemption a little more,
She
I
was
guess.
saved. She did the same thing, just in a different way,
Yeah.
I guess. But there probably would have been. I'm not saying the movie would have been a lot better, but it would have been less kind of just all over the place, maybe. Like it would have
Hmm.
been because at the end there's like a half hour fight scene, and you're like, okay, like, but what is going on? Like, what is actually happening? Like, why? How did they get Jean to like stay? And then she
Yeah,
kind of just leaves.
it's the aliens like just bogs everything down. Like
Yeah, they're
it
boring.
complicated the plot. If not for them, I think this would have been a better movie.
Yeah, and then so it said Jean would then have survived by becoming the Phoenix, and Charles would have retired from the school. So the
I
reason
think
that
that happens anyway, doesn't it? Because she
the
does become the Phoenix.
yeah, she becomes that Phoenix like emblem.
Yeah,
I
because
know,
she like, but then it's you can see it like at the end of the movie. It's like
like
streaking
the
through the
Phoenix
sky.
Force, yeah, through the
So I
sky.
think basically she just like becomes the Phoenix Force at the end.
So the reason they changed it was because the ending was too similar to Captain Marvel when she goes up and blows up like
Yeah,
a ship in the sky and the Kree thing. So this is the rumor of why it was changed. People think that Disney was like, you need to change this because it's
yeah.
too similar. I don't
Too
really
similar
know.
to those other alien races I don't give a shit
Yeah.
about.
So, yeah, right. So it would have Kinberg said my original ending. didn't have the X family together the way they are in the film now. More than Captain Marvel, you could see a lot of Civil War in the ending that they choose. So I guess maybe there was different sides of the X-Men. I don't know.
Hmm.
But there's like you can go and look this online, and there's different plot points that are changed. Say what you want about them. There was, so if you guys felt that this movie was kind of off and just missing something, it's probably because it was.
I honestly don't think that would have made it much better.
I don't think so either. I enjoyed the shorter runtime on this. The under 2 hours is always nice, but that last 40 minutes was a slog, man. And
Yeah,
the ending of a movie is typically where the action's at.
you feel it. You feel the runtime.
Bob's closing thoughts are that it's a bad X-Men movie, but I'm not sure it's worse than Fantastic Four or X-Men Origins. Can confirm it's a better movie
Yeah,
than both of those.
I
And
agree.
Origins stinks. And then he said, I don't know why, but Beast snarling when the Phoenix Force exploded made him laugh. And he says, how do you beat Charles at chess if he can read your mind? So fair point. That's more closing thoughts than I have to share. I'll tell you that much. I just hope that this is the end of the Phoenix Force for a really, really long
Yeah,
time.
I do too. I really don't think it is. I think they're going to keep trying to do it. They're
I
not going
hope,
to learn their lesson.
look, I trust Kevin Feige, but I just read something today that said we need to do Doctor Doom right. And his idea was bringing RDJ. And I
I'm
trust Kevin Feige with my heart and soul in the MCU, but I don't trust, and he loves the X, he respects and loves the X Men. Like that's a start. I just don't trust him to not try and do the Dark Phoenix in a way that he believes he can do
yeah.
it, and like and hit his team at Marvel. So I'm with you, Shane. They're probably going to do it, and I really hope they don't. And if they
Hopefully
do, I hope
him
it's a trilogy like that builds to it.
hopefully him doing it his way means it'll be good when they inevitably do it. Listen, Kevin Feige, if you're listening and we know that you are, just let it go, man. Do do the Madeline Pryor storyline. It's so much better.
Yep,
We don't care about the Dark Phoenix.
we don't.
Just let it go, man.
Just
Bring
this.
do I mean, I don't know. All the cool shit I want them to do, they already did in X-Men 97, so
That's true, and
they're
we're getting
probably not
season
gonna
two of that
they're
soon.
not gonna do any of that.
And he was involved with that. He said, "Hey, man, you got to make a continuation, and they need to have the theme song." So that's what I mean. And the X Men stuff that they did in Deadpool and Wolverine was good.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I trust them, but we'll
So
see.
is this it? Is this the final movie other than New Mutants? Or do you still have to do
Technically,
Logan too?
yes.
Did you do Logan yet?
Logan should have came out before this episode.
Oh,
So
okay.
depending on how the timeline goes, yes, we did do Logan.
So
Um,
then New Mutants is the last
it's the
of
last one,
this little series you're doing?
the last of the 14 movies. If you made it this far as a listener, thank you. Like this is, it will almost have been 6 months by the time this is done of us doing this. And that's with 1 month of an episode a week. It's because we do,
Yeah.
bi-weekly.
When
But
you told me this plan to do all the movies, I kind of think I thought you were underestimating how many movies there were.
oh, I
But then
estimated correctly.
you said I don't expect you guys to do all of them with us, and I was like, cool, great idea, RB. You should do this.
Yeah, no, I knew if I did them with you guys, it would probably have fallen off because we're all
It would
just
have taken
crazy
too long.
schedules.
Yeah, it would have
Yeah.
taken too long.
And so
Mostly my schedule because there's 2 weeks a month I just can't do
yeah,
it.
the Senate gets crazy at the end of the month.
Yeah,
And my schedule is we're just kind of always busy. So being able to do it this way, and we really banked episodes. So that's why
yeah,
if we're talking about, there might be an episode that you've just heard that we're talking about, oh, if this happens in Deadpool and Wolverine, that's because just the way that the thing shook out.
yeah.
But if you made it this far, thank you. We appreciate you. I know that this is the episode the fan had been clamoring for with Shane being on it. Yeah, Shane, anything to plug before we go?
Not really. Got nothing to plug right now. Uh,
Um, Besides your butt, I will plug.
that's already plugged.
I will plug the new X Men run by Jed McKay. Read the first issue and I'm loving it. So by this point, 3 or 4 issues should be out. Go check it out. Go read some comic books. Go read some good X Men stuff that
Fuck it. I'll plug
inspired.
read some X-23.
Yeah, you like an X
I
twenty
love
three?
I read a bunch
Yeah,
like a while ago. I love X-23. She immediately became one of my favorite like comic book characters. So I'll plug that. Go read some X-23. Doesn't matter which, she's cool in every issue. So just go read some X-23.
Did you read the newer stuff, like part of the Krakoa era, or like older stuff?
I think newer stuff where she's like a child assassin being trained.
Ooh,
It's really cool.
that is cool. Because there's a bunch of different stuff. She showed up in one of the Krakoan comics, but as a grown
Like
up.
the it's called what is it? It's called like the new X-Men or something, or the new Avengers. She's so
There's all new
it's like
Wolverine.
it's
There's
before
that.
the new Avengers.
You should check out MYX then. It just came out, New York
Okay.
X. It's part of the relaunch, and it's her, Miss Marvel, I believe one of the like the Cuckoos, which is Emma Frost's kids,
Hmm.
and then there's two other characters that are on the covers that I don't know. But you might like that. You might like that, and I'll be on the app in a couple of months.
Yeah, I'll look into it. I'm
Um,
I've been reading Red Hulk. I'm a couple issues into that, so that's pretty cool.
you hype for that? You hype for Captain America?
I think so. I wish it wasn't Harrison Ford, just because he's so fucking old.
Yeah, but it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I know. Harrison Ford's awesome, but I don't know. I think they made the wrong. Unless this is like a one-off thing like they always love to do and we're never going to see him again,
I have no
then
I,
whatever.
I have
I
no
love
idea.
Harrison Ford doing press because he doesn't know what Red Hulk is.
I'm
It's the
telling you,
best.
they greased the shit out of his palms at Comic-Con because he was having a blast. He hulked out on stage. He was friendly to reporters. I truly think he just fucking hates Star Wars. So anytime you ask him about Star Wars, he's like, I don't give a shit. But you
Yeah,
ask
but
him
you ask
about
him about
indie,
Indiana Jones,
he
he loves it.
loves it. That's what I'm telling. I think he hates Star Wars. I just think that's what it is.
Well, someone said it before when we were talking about it. He's not the main guy in Star Wars.
That I mean,
He's one of the main people in Red Hulk. He's going to be the villain. So he
maybe.
probably likes it because he's getting attention for it.
Maybe. I mean, he wanted to be killed off in Star Wars. I think he hates Star Wars, which is crazy because that's his claim to fame is Star Wars.
Yeah.
He was a nobody. He was reading lines, and then George Lucas was like, "I want you to audition," and he was like, "Oh,
Yeah, and he's one
okay."
of the best parts about all of the movies. Like it's
He's
insane how
great.
much he hates it.
It's so funny, but that's so Harrison Ford. Like Blade Runner, oh my God, he'll talk your ear off. Indiana Jones, talk your ear off. Star Wars, fuck off. That's like truly his persona. Shrinking, he'll
Here's
probably
a
talk about forever.
I was just gonna say, here's a plug for you. Watch Shrinking because I think season two is what, like October?
October 16th.
One more plug because I'm rewatching it. I just remembered What We Do in the Shadows. Final season comes out like October 21st or something.
That's right around the
Fantastic.
corner when this
One of
episode drops.
one of my favorite shows ever, and it's not even done yet. It's so good.
I uh I want to get through Umbrella Academy, but then I think I might start that because
Very, very much
I started How I
recommend.
Met Your Mother too again because that's on Netflix now, and I forgot how much I love that show.
That's a great show.
It's so great. Check that out. Our next movie and our final movie will be The New Mutants, or Shane will be back for that.
Yeah, that'll be
And
another first time watch for me.
yep, and I remember thinking that movie was okay. I think you will think it's okay. It's definitely better than these last couple movies that you've had
Okay.
to watch. So you may actually get to watch a decent movie. Again, I don't remember much about it. The movie ended, and I was like, "Oh, that was fine."
Oh,
So
that was a movie.
it was one of the first back movies back after COVID too. So it was like,
Yeah.
one of those things. But Shane, thank you for making time today, and thank you for doing some solo. Um, yeah, it was great to have you on. Remember to rate, like, and subscribe. Check out our socials. Give us your X-Men thoughts. Give your thoughts on this movie. We would kind of like to hear them, but also not. Like, don't waste your time and watch the movie. Just listen to us talk about it. But I think we covered all the big things. And if not, check us out. Say goodbye.
I